Hello and welcome to the Paul Ricard circuit at Le Castellet in the south of France for round 2 of the 2018 TCR Europe series. This brand new incarnation of TCR Europe. Race 1 yesterday in cloudy but dry conditions. Things a little different on this Sunday afternoon in the south of France. Raindrops were starting to fall as I walked to the commentary box, and as you can see there from the umbrella, that's I think what we're in for this 25-26 minute race 2. The race has already been declared wet, so the cars able to change tyres on the grid. And as yesterday, 25 cars entered for this race. The winner of yesterday's race 1 in car 62, Dusan Borkovic in the Hyundai i30N TCR. Borkovic starting race 2 from 10th on the grid. And when I said to his wife, Adriana, as I was walking over to the commentary box, what's Dusan like in the rain? She said, I don't know. Bear in mind that he actually only sat in the car for the first time on Friday. That, though, is the man on pole position for this second race of the series, Jens Renaud-Muller in the FK7 Honda Civic Type R TCR. Moller, you might remember from the TCR International Series on pole in Hungary last year, and he was saying yesterday that the plan is to go for a podium finish here at Paul Ricard, but he doesn't know what's going to happen to the men around him. In theory, that man will be his biggest challenge. Francisco Mora in the Hyundai, the most popular car brand here in the south of France this weekend. 8 Hyundais compared to 5 Hondas, 5 Cupras, 4 Audis, 1 Peugeot, 1 Subaru and 1 Volkswagen. There's another of the Hyundais, whereas Francisco Mora is being run by Mira. Chris Richard from Switzerland on row 2 of the grid, run by probably one of the most professional touring car teams in TCR Target competition from the north of Italy. Jean-Carl Venet starts from 4th on the grid, the reigning TCR International Series champion. The victim of a few contacts, I think it was fair to say. There were certainly incidents involving Venet yesterday. Received a reprimand from the stewards after race 1 to go with the reprimand that he received for infringing track limits repeatedly on Friday during free practice. Another of the Target competition Hyundais, the young Irish driver Rhys Barr, will start from 5th on the grid, so behind Richard. And remember, the two of them had a coming together yesterday in race 1. I commented at the time that I'd love to be a fly on the wall at Target competition when they got back, but apparently it was all very amicable. Rhys was saying that he went for a gap that he thought was there. Chris thought that Rhys wouldn't be going for the gap, turned in and found his teammate there. Richard came off worse. There were words between the two. Rhys received a reprimand from the stewards, but they are all friends again. So a 23-minute plus 1 lap race, just as we had yesterday. So just to confirm the rules, at 23 minutes, the clock will count down to 0, and then wherever the leader is after 23 minutes, after he crosses the finish line, the next time there'll be 1 further lap. So, confirmation of the starting grid. Jens Renaud-Muller on pole with Francisco Mora alongside. On row 2, Jean-Carl Venet and Chris Richard. Josh Files, we've not mentioned yet, alongside Rhys Barr on row 3. It's Stian Paulsen on row 4, alongside Danny Nage. Row 5, Mikel Azcona from Spain, alongside yesterday's race winner Dusan Borkovic. Row 5, it's Igor Stefanovski and Nicola Baldan, Loris Cenchetti and Maxime Potti. Danny Cruz alongside Francisco Abreu from Portugal. Then it's Attila Tashi and Mark Yadlovsky, Cedric Piro and Giovanni Altoe, Andrea Larini, Enrico Bettera, Gustavo Mora and Victor Davidovsky, and there the frustrated Stefano Camini, slowest in qualifying in the Subaru, brings up the rear of the 25-car grid. And both Stefano Camini and Josh Files telling me that they were praying for rain. Those prayers appear to have been answered. The rain falling steadily here at Paul Ricard as Jens Renaud Muller leads the cars away for this green flag formation lap. 5.8 kilometers the circuit here at Paul Ricard. It's the longest of the three main race configurations. But I was saying yesterday that if you look at the series website, there's something like 167 different configurations depending on what you want to do here, if you want to hire the track to test or to launch a new car or whatever you want to do. Formula One returning here to Paul Ricard next month after being away since 1990. The French Grand Prix having been run here a total of 14 times between 1971 and 1990. Borkovic, the early leader in the Drivers' Championship, but it'll be tough to come through from P10 to finish on the podium, but you wouldn't put it past Dusan. Victorious twice in the TCR International Series last year in the Alfa Romeo. Jens Renaud Muller, 47, one of the oldest drivers in TCR Europe. Started off in Danish touring cars, Scandinavian touring cars, done a bit of GT, competed at Le Mans in LMP1. Took a break between 2010 and 2016, came back in 2017 in the TCR International Series, finished 21st in the series. Danny Nage, the only car running with 3 numbers. Everybody from Hungary wanting a number 9 on their car. Danny Nage settling for 999. He was 30 last month, Danny Nage. A lot of anxious faces watching the timing screens. Mikael Athkonar, you saw briefly there in the Cupra. Podium finish for him yesterday. Nicola Baldan in the pit lane Competizione car. TCR Italy, incidentally, is here next weekend, and so pit lane Competizione having brought 4 cars here. And what on earth? Now that does take talent to spin off on the green flag lap. No damage done though. So through the complex, you see the blue and red zones at the side of the track. No gravel, or very little gravel, here in Paul Ricard. Instead, it's high friction asphalt, tarmac, to slow the cars down if they go off. The blue zones, moderately abrasive. The red zones, very abrasive, but if you go off into a red zone, then you risk damaging your tires. So then, they come down onto the start grid, trying to get some temperature into the wheels and the tires as they form up. And of course, there's that agonizing wait. Moller will be first to form up on the grid in his grid position. Then he has to wait for all of the other 24 to get into position before his race can get underway. So he parks up in his grid box. There is Stefano Camini. Extremely frustrated both on Friday after free practice and yesterday after qualifying. Got involved in a few scrapes in race 1, but saying really the deal to run that Subaru came together at the very last minute. So an awful lot of learning took place over the last 24 hours or so. What can Stefano Camini do in this race 2 of the 2018 TCR Europe Series? We're now moments away from starting. The green flag waves. Revs start to rise. The red light's on very quickly. Watch Mora. Muller, though, makes the better start of the 2. Muller takes the lead going down towards turn 1. Mora tucks in behind. Josh Files on the left of your screen, tucking in alongside the Hyundai of Chris Richard. Richard and Files scrapping yesterday in race 1. Long-term competitors in TCR Germany, remember, and also teammates at Target Competition. Files, though, into third. Jean-Carl Venet behind Richard. A little bit of nudging, I think, as they just go through that sequence. Castellet in the second Hell Racing car, just running wide there. There in the yellow Cupra is Stian Paulsen, that we saw yesterday, having taken a bit of a gamble with the setup of the car on the rear, and the gamble not paying off for the young Norwegian driver. So Jens Renaud Moller comes down to the chicane, halfway down the long 1.8 kilometer straight, as Jean-Carl Venet gets slightly sideways. So out of the chicane, down the remainder of the Mistral straight. Moller still leads. It's now Venet up into second place. Josh Files scrapping with Francisco Mora in the Hyundai. And I was going to say Files has the position. It's the long right-hander which gets us round into the complex. Files tucks in behind the Hyundai. There's contact between Stian Paulsen and I think it was Rhys Barr in the second of the target competition cars, or indeed was it Richard? Rhys Barr, I think it was, or it may have even been Borkovic because he's worked his way through. A little bit of nudging between the 999 car of Danny Nage, and through goes Jean-Carl Venet, picks his moment, goes past Moller. Francisco Mora, the next to have a go at our pole sitter. On to the start-finish straight then. At the end of lap 1, Jean-Carl Venet, the race leader, ahead of Jens Renaud Moller. Francisco Mora third, Files fourth, Borkovic having made his way up into fifth. Then it's Danny Nage, Stian Paulsen seventh, Chris Richard in eighth. Three abreast almost. Oh, there's contact, I think, between Borkovic and Mora. And around goes Mora, coming off second best from that contact. There is Athconar in the bright orange Cupra, as somebody took to the runoff. Through goes Files in the 99 car. Josh Files takes second place then, muscling out Jens Renaud Moller, and indeed, there's the 62 car. Dusan Borkovic having made his way up from 10th on the grid, and there is Josh Files spinning out. What happened there? Contact possibly with Dusan Borkovic. Hopefully we can see that as a replay. There is Danny Nage. There is Athconar going around the luckless Moller. Oh, we almost saw the replay. I think that was just Files getting it sideways. I'm not sure if there was any assistance there. Jean-Carl Venet is now our race leader in the Audi RS3 LMS. Dusan Borkovic is second. Danny Nage third. Mikel Athconar is in fourth. Jens Renaud Moller drops to fifth. Then it's Chris Richard. And there is Attila Tashi in the number 9 car. Oh, big sideways slide from Tashi. And I do wonder, Files was telling us this morning that they decided to go for a setup that would involve a bit more oversteer as we watch the race start back again. And it'll be interesting to see if we can get a replay of the incident involving Files. It just seemed that he just took it completely sideways and caused the damage himself. And that's the incident involving Stian Paulsen. Now, I'm not sure if there was contact there, or was it just Mora just getting it wrong? Now, that's the Files incident. And on the timing screen, there's an incident involving Chris Richard and Danny Nage, and also 26, which is Francisco Mora, and Dusan Borkovic. So, and also another incident involving Jens Reno Moller and Danny Nage under investigation by the race director and the steward. So this race a little more physical than yesterday. Moller just gets it slightly sideways, and oh, a big crash into the tyre barriers. And will that bring out the safety car? Yellow flags waving already. And Comini squirreling under braking as he's approaching Moller. Comini having made up from 25th on the grid into 10th. Tashi getting it sideways again. Now, is that problems getting the power down, or is it that they've gone for a setup favouring oversteer? Let's look at that again. That was Moller, and no contact, it was just straight off. And that's Igor Stefanovski, I think, in the Hyundai Carnival 7. Big impact. And indeed, safety car has been deployed. So the safety car will pick up the race leader, Jean-Carl Venet. As the clock continues to tick down. When Stefanovski out of the car, Marshall's with him, but look at the damage to the side of that Hyundai. Big collision. Lots of debris having to be cleared. And Mora in the 24, Gustavo Mora in the RS3 LMS, having spun off at the entrance, I think, to the complex. And indeed, safety car picks up the race leader, Jean-Carl Venet. That's one of the pit lane Competizione cars coming out of the pit lane, one of the Audis in the background. So then, nearly 8 minutes of this race gone. Jean-Carl Venet in the Audi RS3 leads from Dusan Borkovic as we see Josh Files coming into the pits. Danny Nage in third place, Mikael Azcona in fourth, Jens Reno Moller, our pole sitter, remember, in fifth. Stefano Comini having made up 19 places from 25th on the grid. Comini is now sixth in the Subaru. This could be the story of the race. Maxime Potti in the Volkswagen in seventh. Then it's the Mira Hyundai of Francisco Mora, the blue car, as Stian Paulsen is out of the car and walking away. And that's a bitter blow to Stian Paulsen, who puts his heart and his soul into his racing. Once again, we watch the start. Looking to see if there's contact involving Paulsen at this stage. No, indeed. Attila Tashi, by the way, we've not mentioned a great deal. We've seen him once or twice. That's the nudge that assisted Stian Paulsen off. And I don't know whether there was assistance from Dusan Borkovic there, and that's where Josh Files, lucky to get away with that and not end up in the tyres. And this is the Stefanovski incident, where again I don't think there was contact. It was just a big slide and a spin round into the tyre barriers. Look at that. Happily, Igor Stefanovski out of the car now being recovered under the safety car as the clock continues to tick down. The Attila Tashi suffering from a flu or a very heavy cold, saying that he feels better today than he did yesterday or Friday, but still under the weather. Young Attila Tashi, 18 years of age, in 10th position currently. Chris Richard ahead of him in 9th. And then, as I mentioned, the 26 car, the Mira Hyundai i30N of Francisco Mora, the blue Hyundai. And I'm seeing on my timing screen, red flag. Session has been stopped.
Red flag.
So, red flag here at Paul Ricard. And that is the number 7 Hyundai i30N of Igor Stefanovski. That big collision with the tyre barriers at the start of the Mistral Straight. David Barry in the sunglasses, the team manager of Mira. Now, what do those hand signals mean? Are we going to resume, or is that it? So far, nothing on my timing screen about the race resuming. All I'm getting is race suspended as we look once again at Stefanovski's accident. So the clock stopped at 11 minutes and 8 seconds of the session remaining. Remember, 23 minutes plus 1 lap is what we were looking at as the marshals get to work to recover the Hyundai. Back in your car, please. So that would suggest that we're going to get a restart. Safety car pulls away, Jean Calvinet being held. If you're just joining us, this is race 2 here at Paul Ricard in the south of France, the TCR Europe 2018 series. And we have red flags at Paul Ricard in the south of France after quite a nasty accident involving Igor Stefanovski, who spun across and hit the tyre barriers hard. You can see the damage to the right-hand side of the Hyundai. Stefanovski, though, happily out of the car and walked away to the marshals. So I'm pleased to say that there's no damage to the driver as Jean Calvinet comes back around onto the start-finish straight. So they will form up, it would appear, for a restart. Team personnel coming out with tyres. So let me run through the positions for you once again then. Our pole sitter, who was Jens Renaud Moller, is now in 5th after making a decent start, but having been overhauled by Jean Calvinet, who leads. Yesterday's winner, Dusan Borkovic, who, I have to say, having not sat in a race car for nearly 7 months, broke his right leg 2 months ago in a snowmobile accident. He's in 2nd place. There he is in the 62 car, coming round into position. Danny Nage in the number 999 Mira Hyundai i30N is 3rd. Mikel Azcona from Spain in the Cupra is 4th. Moller, as I say, is 5th. And then that man, Stefano Camini, after having, it's fair to say, a miserable weekend so far, was extremely frustrated after free practice, after qualifying, and particularly after race 1, that the car just really wasn't to his liking. Now, he's done quite a bit of development work on the Subaru, did a couple of rounds of TCR Italy last year, and was telling us at the end of the year that the car was pretty much sorted, in his words, and said it's now a good car. But the problem was that the entry, the Race Republic entry for Stefano Camini, came very late, certainly put together within probably the last fortnight or so, and so no testing done. Stefano pointing out that the three-box design, the sedan, the saloon design of the Subaru means that there's a lot more grip on the rear, and they've not had any chance to do any work with the Yokohama tires, so all new to them. And so whatever changes they've made, or whether it's purely the fact that Stefano likes the rain, it can't just be that, surely. But Stefano Camini started from 25th and last on the grid, and is now currently in 6th position. Can he get it onto the podium? Can Borkovic get past Venet and score back-to-back victories here in France? Can Venet hold Dusan at bay? The clock has been reset to 12 minutes, 27 seconds remaining, plus 1 lap, remember. As the marshals are packing up, it looks like their work is done. The car recovered. Right, let's see if we can talk to Stefano Camini. And I think Fabio Ravaioli is down on the pits with him.
This for me, for Race Republic and for Top Run and Subaru, I think this is the real potential of the car. On the wet, this car, it's amazing. It's simple amazing. I'm enjoying every corner. It's so fantastic. I miss it so much, this feeling, since the last year with this fantastic car in Imola on the rain, and again here. I think this is simple incredible. I'm happy to be here now. We will see after what it will happen, because my car is totally destroyed. Pyro hit me, everybody hit me, I hit everybody to overtake, and it's my car is completely destroyed, guys, but I hope to come until the end. Vieni qua.
Thank you very much, and good luck.
What a difference a day makes. Stefano Camini, completely different to how he was yesterday. Now completely, well, over the moon is an expression that springs to mind. Stefano Camini clearly delighted with the rain, the car's performance, and a different car to the one that we've seen so far this weekend. Currently in 6th place. And I don't know what the weather is doing outside the commentary box. I think it's still raining. And the race will restart, I'm told, at 4:25 local time. So about 11 minutes away from the restart, as we just look back at some of the highlights of the race so far. Now that's a shot we didn't see before of Camini on the runoff area. That's Stian Paulsen having all sorts of problems. This is Mora. Now, the more I see the replay, the more I wonder if Dusan Borkovic did use Mora as an aid to slowing down, if you know what I mean. This is Josh Files spinning off. And managing to hold it. That's where Stefanovski went off into the tyres. And this indeed is Stefanovski going off. No contact, but sideways, a big shunt. And again, from the camera looking down the Mistral straight. And the car having to be recovered, and also the damage to the tyre barrier having to be repaired before racing can get back underway. And so the red flags came out with around half race distance. I say around, but tell you what, let's go down to the start-finish straight, and Fabio is with our race leader.
Jean-Carl Vernet, fantastic start. You were leading the race. How do you see the rest of the race?
Well, it depends about the track condition, you know. On the drive, we have no chance compared to the Hyundai, but it was a little bit damp, and I could manage like good start, good overtaking. I hope the fan enjoyed it, and yeah, I feel comfortable in this condition. My car was like fantastic. My Audi RS3 was really great. Team did a really good job. Car was feeling good, and now we see. Let's try to finish the job, and we see what's going to happen next.
Thank you very much.
Jean-Carl Venet, reigning TCR International Series champion, competing in WTCR, the FIA World Touring Car Cup this year, where he's had one race win so far. That's one of his competitors, Pepe Oriola, in WTCR this year, but here in TCR Europe in a support role, very much in the corner of Mikel Azcona and also the other Cupra drivers. And it's always nice to see Pepe, usually with a smile on his face, enjoys his racing, and it's good to see the support from drivers like Pepe. A couple of other interested spectators here in Paul Ricard this weekend, and they're indeed thanks to the marshals here at Paul Ricard. The damage to the tyre barrier is now repaired. They can head back to their standby positions, and we are something like 8.5 minutes away from the scheduled restart time. Restart at 4:25 local time, currently 4:16. Attila Tashi. All right, let's see what Dusan Borkovic has to say about the first half of his race. He's talking to Fabio Ravaioli.
Dusan Borkovic, a very interesting first laps of this race.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I never saw this. The one part of circuit is so slippery. Here it doesn't look so much. It was just wet. But it was, you know, when you have the first rain, it's really, really slippery. I see a lot of cars crashed. I don't know when we restart now what will happen, because this is not for slick. This is and also is not for the wet tires. But I have a good improvement. So I came from P10 to P2. So I just want to keep P2 for the rest of the race, and I'm happy. Thank you.
I just think that he may still have a go at Jean-Carl Venet. A lot of gesticulation going on between the guys from Top Run and Stefano. Now, what's being said there, I wonder? Is there damage to the front of the car? There's definitely damage, but is it fresh damage? Or is that... Yeah, that is fresh damage from today, because the car had a fair amount of body damage after race 1. So an incident-packed start then to race 2 here at Paul Ricard. Let's just remind ourselves of some of the incidents so far. Stian Paulsen in that yellow and black Cupra. And you may have seen Stian walk away through the pit garage. Francisco Mora in the Hyundai. Josh Files we've already seen. Files down in 19th place at the moment, thanks to that incident. And then this is the biggest incident so far. Happily, Igor Stefanovski is fine. He's out of the car. The car, not so. That'll take quite a bit of work to get that looking pristine again. But the main thing is that Igor is fine. He's out of the car. He may well have gone to the medical center for a check over, but he was quickly out of the car and with the marshals. So the headline, red flags after 12 minutes or so. Mikel Azcona then down on the start-finish line is talking to Fabio.
Mikel Azcona, very tricky condition here at the Castellet, but you were doing a very good race.
Yes, now we are P4, but the track conditions are very difficult because we are with slick tires and in wet conditions, so we need to be in this position and to do not mistakes. This is the most important now.
Thank you, good luck.
Thank you.
21-year-old Mikel Azcona from Spain. He's very much a single-make kind of driver. Competed in a Clio in the Spanish Open Cup, but then went to the Leon Euro Cup. Third in 2015, second in 2016. Switched to the Audi TT International Series for last year, where he finished second. So can certainly pedal a saloon car. And bonnet up on the Subaru. That's not good. A little over 4 minutes away from the scheduled restart time here at Paul Ricard. So starting to clear the grid. Loris Cenchetti from Luxembourg in the Piro Sports Hyundai. And our race leader, JK. After being a bit of a target yesterday, what can he do? Can he do anything about Dusan Borkovic, or will the Serbian driver claim his second victory of the race weekend? Dani Naj not out of it either in another Hyundai, currently P3. And then, as we heard, Mikel Azcona in the Cupra, excuse me, currently P4, ahead of Molla with Comini P6, Maxime Potti 7th, Francisco Mora in 8th, Chris Richard in 9th, and then Attila Tashi in 10th, ahead of Rhys Barr in the third of the target competition Hyundai i30s. So behind the safety car then will be the restart, and the comments being made about the circuit being very slippery. It was Dusan Borkovic that was saying there's one part of the circuit coming out onto the start of the Mistral Straight that's very, very slippery. So the grid then being cleared. About 2.5 minutes or so until this scheduled restart time. The clock will then resume ticking down to 23 minutes. And then wherever the race leader is, it doesn't matter if they've just crossed the start-finish line or if they're in the final corner. When they next cross the finish line, it will be one final lap from there. If you watched TCR Germany last weekend, you'll have seen what happens when either team or driver gets the calculations wrong. Poor old Luca Engstler crossed the finish line in what he thought was second position, started celebrating, was weaving from side to side. Only thing was there was one lap remaining. And so Michel Halder overtook Luca and held him at bay for the final lap, crossed the finish line in second, and Luca, at the end of the race, out of the car, sitting with his head in his hands, and it was just a simple mistake. But in the heat of the moment, you really do need to get your facts straight. Jean Calvinet then having set the quickest lap of this second race. And remember, what were we yesterday? 2:14s, 2:28, the quickest lap so far today. A 2:28.846 from Jean Calvinet. Just over a minute then, you'll see the 1 minute marker board being held up. And the restart here at Paul Ricard will be behind the safety car. There's the 1 minute board. Now, one of the cars I'm looking at is Stefano Comini, currently P6. Is there a problem with the Subaru? Jaime Puig on the left, Antonio Rodriguez on the right. Two of the senior management from Seat Sport, or Cupra as they now are. Jaime, board member of Seat. Antonio, former team manager of the Seat Sport World Touring Car team, and here to support their customers in the Cupras. 10 seconds then away from this restart. Green flag is waved. So the clock resumes. 12 minutes, just under 12 minutes and 20 seconds of this race remaining, plus the 1 lap. And indeed, Comini gets underway once again. There is the team, Race Republic. There is Comini in the 42 car, the Subaru. Reese Barr, Nicola Baldan. That's what I was saying earlier about the different colours of the runoff areas. Blue is relatively abrasive, and the red areas mark the very abrasive areas, which will slow you very quickly, but it won't do your tyres any good. The Renault Racing guys from Jens Renault Muller's team, and he was saying that he was, I think, honest about his chances from starting from pole, and was saying that really podium finish was what he was hoping for, but he's currently down in 5th. Not out of the woods, but you have to say there are some very strong guys around him, particularly the guy just behind him, who's already said that the Subaru is working brilliantly in the wet. Stefano Comini will be looking to make the jump on Jens Renault Muller at the restart. They come down the Mistral straight. As we look at Target Competition's pit area, you briefly saw the 2 Gumara twins. So that's the run down to the chicane. Through the chicane they go. Quite a few drivers missing their braking point and taking to the escape road during free practice on Friday. And you see there in the background the awnings, that's where our TV compound is. So I was watching free practice from just behind the safety fence there on Friday and seeing quite a few drivers locking up and going straight on or to the second escape road through those cones you can see in the background. No such problems in either of the 2 races. There is Giovanni Altoe, Giacomo's older brother. Giacomo Altoe with us in the International Series last year. And Giovanni, one of 4 cars being run by Pit Lane Competizione from Italy. So, safety car has its lights off. They come through the complex at the eastern end of the Paul Ricard circuit. And look at that. Borkovic right up behind Jean-Carl Venet. He's determined not to let the Audi driver get the jump on him. But it's Venet that will dictate the restart. Final moments of weaving to get the heat back in those wheels and tyres. So we come through for the Audi R8 safety car to peel off, and then it'll be the sprint for the line. The lights will go green and we'll be racing once again with 8.5 minutes plus 1 lap of this second round of TCR Europe to go. There goes Venet. Borkovic slightly sideways coming out of the final corner is with him. Up to the line they go. Now that looked like Potti getting past Comini before they'd crossed the line. Now, that will something, I suspect that'll be looked at. Potti in the 88 Volkswagen was already past Comini by the time they went up to the line. Now, until they take the green flag, that's not allowed. So, Potti up behind, and in fact goes alongside Jens Renault Muller as Comini goes round the other side. Comini, though, tucked in behind the Volkswagen. Through this slippery section. onto the Mulsanne, onto the, excuse me. And there's something flapping on the front of Comini's Subaru. Look at that. Borkovic right up behind Jean-Carl Venet, weaving from side to side to just make Venet aware that he's there. Venet through the chicane, ahead of Borkovic. Danny Nage in third, Michael Athkonar in fourth, Maxime Potti in fifth. Then it's Comini, Moller, Mora, Tashi. That was Rhys Barr having a look at Chris Richard for 10th. What do we see here as they come around this long right-hander? As Comini is now defending from Moller, and Moller's going around the outside, and Moller runs wide, as does Comini onto the blue zone. They both lose position as Mora comes back at them. Comini recovers slightly more quickly as Tashi goes past Moller. So a few changes at the lower end of the top 10. The leading 4-5 positions remain the same. Tashi and Muller there. So Venet, Borkovic, and there is Enrico Bettera in the pit lane Competizione Audi RS3. And Paulsen is underway again. That's actually good to see as Stian Paulsen comes out of the pits. Across the start-finish line they go then. Jean-Carl Venet from Dusan Borkovic, the gap, 0.4 of a second. Danny Nage third, Michael Athkonar fourth, then Maxime Potti, then Francisco Mora, then Comini having dropped to 7th, then Tashi, then Muller, then Danny Cruz, who is now in 10th place. And this is the incident, contact between two teammates. Oh dear. Andrea Larini in the Cupra getting thumped quite hard by Enrico Bettera in the Audi. And Larini is in. A puncture possibly? I don't know. As we're looking at race leader Jean-Carl Venet being pressured by Dusan Borkovic. And that is Cedric Pirot, the Renault Racing Honda Civic, with marshals in attendance. Yet again, Borkovic just closes up and dives up the inside of Jean-Carl Venet. Is this the lead changing hands? Venet comes back, though, holds the position. So, despite what he told us, Dusan Borkovic is not going to settle for second place. And who could blame him? 2 victories, back-to-back victories here at Paul Castellet in his grasp. But Danny Nage is now looking at him. Paulsen comes back into the pits. Danny Nage in third, tucked up right behind Dusan Borkovic. Michael Athkonar in the Cupra is with them too. And that allows Jean-Carl Venet just a little breathing space as Athkonar goes round the outside, or tries to. And indeed he does. He's side by side with Danny Nage. Nage, though, has the line. Athkonar falls back into place. Jean-Carl Venet then, still from Borkovic. Then it's Danny Nage. As Athkonar takes a look at the inside. Not quite close enough, I don't think. The pairs side by side as they come through the complex, but indeed, Danny Nage holds the position. So Borkovic switching from attack to defense. It's there in the background. Cedric Pirot's car is being recovered. So this is the scrap then for second, third and fourth. Borkovic, Nage and Athkonar. And this is the bit that I thought Athkonar might just have it. He's just up the inside of Danny Nage, but Nage has the line for the right-hander. Holds his nerve. And Francisco Mora in the background in the blue Hyundai. The Mira car is now starting to come into the fray as well. So Jean-Carl Venet in the Audi, having extended his lead to nearly 2 seconds. Borkovic Hyundai, Nage Hyundai, Athkonar Cupra, and then Mora behind in the Hyundai. There he is. There's then a gap from Mora back to Tashi. Moller has dropped to 7th. Then it's Potti, Cruz, Comini's dropped to 10th. And Pirot is under investigation. We saw Pirot parked up Now is Danny Nage going to have a look at... oh, Athkanar locks up slightly. Runs wide. Makes a mistake, and exactly where we were talking about a couple of minutes ago, misses the braking point for the chicane. Athkanar takes to the escape road, and there's a bit of bumping and banging involving Rhys Barr. As they come through the chicane, was that Nicola Baldan, I think, in the red Hyundai, involved with Rhys Barr in the number 8 car in the back of that sequence. Oh, and Baldan having got a broken suspension, it looks like, or broken steering at the front of the car. Athkanar completely getting the sequence wrong, throwing it in, or trying to throw it in, and changing his mind halfway through, taking to the escape road at the chicane. Mikael Athkanar then drops at least a position behind Mora. The gap from first to second now having come down, having halved, in fact, from nearly 2 seconds. It's a whisker over, in fact, it's a whisker under 1 second now, 9/10 of a second between Jean-Carl Venet and Dusan Borkovic. Danny Nage now third. Francisco Mora having got past Athkanar, as we saw there. It's now Mora in fourth, Athkanar in fifth. Then it's Tashi sixth. Then Moller, Cruz, Kamini's made up a place to ninth, and Jedlotsky has dropped to 10th. We were expecting this second race here at Paul Ricard to be a little more lively than the first. But it would appear, he says, about to jinx things, that Jean-Carl Venet is on course for victory. Car 25 is under investigation. That's Athkanar. I don't think he gained a position, because that's where Mora went past him in the chicane. And look, Borkovic has now caught up with Jean-Carl Venet again. They're coming down the Mistral straight. Venet moves to defend. The left-hander into the chicane, followed by Nage, by Mora and Athkanar. The clock reaches 0. And so, a lap and a half of the Paul Ricard circuit remains. Dusan Borkovic alongside Jean-Carl Venet as they head down to the right-hander. The timing screen says that he's just ahead, but indeed, Venet holds the position, runs slightly wide, but no, indeed, Borkovic not close enough to capitalize. One of the cars clipping some debris on the track. Jean-Carl Venet just hangs on to the lead. Danny Nage takes a look up the inside of Borkovic. Mora's right behind. Athkanar's right behind them. Look at the difference. Look at the gap. It's millimeters almost between Dusan Borkovic and Danny Nage. Ignore the timing screen at the side of your screen. The timing is slightly out. Jean-Carl Venet briefly lost the lead to Dusan Borkovic. It'll be resolved as they cross the start-finish line and the timing loop. So we are now on the final lap. Jean-Carl Venet leads from Dusan Borkovic by 0.4 of a second, as this is the incident involving Rhys Barr and Baldan. Nicola Baldan pulling over with damage to the front right corner of the Hyundai. Kamini back down to 10th, with Loris Cencetti having just got past. Is there time for a last-minute lunge by any of these drivers? Venet in the Audi, from Borkovic in the Hyundai. Danny Nage third in another Hyundai. Then it's Mora coming back at, or Athkanar rather, coming back at Mora. Rhys Barr in the pits after that incident with Nicola Baldan. Now, what can Borkovic do this time? Nage defending from Mora. Venet defending from Borkovic. Slight lock-up from the Audi driver. Through unscathed they go. Borkovic once again attacks alongside. Can he make it stick this time? He appears to have got his nose in front. Borkovic once again briefly moves into the lead. But remember, Venet has the line. The two almost touching as they come through. Has Borkovic forced Venet into a mistake? He appears to have the line. Venet turns in. Borkovic has the line for the right-hander. Borkovic moves ahead. The lead changes hands with a few corners to go. Borkovic sensationally takes the lead here at Paul Ricard. And it looks as though, with just a few corners remaining, that Dusan Borkovic will take win number 2 from 2 after starting from 10th position on the grid. Dusan Borkovic in the target competition Hyundai i30N times the move on Jean-Carl Venet to perfection, comes around the last corner and heads up to take the checkered flag. So it's Dusan Borkovic. There is the flag, and Borkovic takes the victory from Jean-Carl Venet, Danny Nage, Francisco Mora, Mikel Azcona, and Attila Tashi, and Andriana Borkovic absolutely delighted. Well, that was slightly unexpected, as Stefano Camini scores a point for finishing in 10th place. The challenge that we saw in the early stages of the race from Stefano having faded in the drier second half after the restart. But Camini finishes in 10th. Cencetti it was who finished above him in 9th. But Dusan Borkovic, what a drive, what a weekend from Dusan. The perfect score here at the first round of TCR Europe. This is the moment. Jean-Carl Venet forced to the outside, and then could only watch as Dusan Borkovic squeezed past. And you can almost feel the tension, can't you, from Andriana. But Borkovic, pole position, winner of race 1, winner of race 2, and so takes the perfect score away from Paul Ricard at the end of the first race weekend, the first of 7 during 2018 for TCR Europe. And Jean-Carl Venet almost a lights to flag victory. First couple of corners, first lap or so, it was Jens Reno Muller, and then Venet having worked his way through the field. Confirmation, though, that Dusan Borkovic, the winner by just a fraction of a second over, just over a second from Jean-Carl Venet. Danny Nage 3rd, Francisco Mora 4th, Mikel Azcona 5th, then it's Tashi, Moller, Cruz, Cencetti, and Camini. That's your top 10. Jedlotski, Maxime Potti, Altoe, Chris Ricard, Josh Files, Abreu, Baldan, Larini, and Piro. And then our non-finishers, Betera, Stian Paulsen, Davidovski, Mura, and Stefanovski. The 2 Macedonian drivers, sadly, among the non-finishers, as Dusan Borkovic comes around to the salutes from the flag marshals, having taken victory here at Paul Ricard at Le Castellet in the south of France. A brilliantly timed drive from Dusan. So what does that mean for the points? Well, 55, the maximum possible for Dusan Borkovic. Danny Nage, 19 points behind in second. Azcona 3rd. Venet moves up into 4th, ahead of Files. Mora moves up to 6th, ahead of Barr. And then it's Tashi, Muller, and Stefanovski. Stefanovski, a massive 49 points already down on Borkovic. Only one round gone, though. The action next moves in a fortnight's time to Zandvoort in the Netherlands. And then it's a couple of weeks until the legendary circuit at Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. The season wraps up in Barcelona at the Circuit of Catalunya in October. Full details, of course, on the website europe.tcr-series.com. And I suspect that's where a lot of people are watching the live stream this afternoon. And Danny Nage being congratulated by David Barry and the Mira team. Mira having switched from running Hondas last year to the Hyundai, and that looks to have paid off for them. The leading Honda driver, in fact, is an ex-Mira driver, Attila Tashi, who took those 2 brilliant wins at his home rounds of TCR International last year. But he was only 6th behind 3 Hyundais, an Audi and a Cupra, and one of those Hyundais in the hands of that man. The smile says it all, still limping slightly after that accident, but Dusan Borkovic eases himself out of that car.
Good job. Super.
And the congratulations of the target competition team for Dusan. Perfect job from him. Jean-Carl, a big hug from a big man. Adriana hopping out of the way, already on social media, I suspect. That picture will be there within seconds. Good fight, guys, but really well timed, Dusan.
Bravo!
Srbija najbolja si. Serbia.
I don't think that last few seconds needed any commentary, did it? Congratulations to Dusan and Adriana, always at the circuits to support her man, make sure all of the viewers, listeners, followers on social media are aware of what he's up to. That's Danny Nage. But let's hear from our double race winner, and he's with Fabio Ravioli.
Dusan Borkovic, you are a liar. You said that you were happy with 2nd place.
No, I am. I admit that I was a liar, but not like I meant, because if it would stay like dry rain, the Verne had a good pace, and I wouldn't risk overtake. But up till the end, the surface gets more dry and dry, and I felt that I have more pace and I have a bigger speed than him. Then couple of times I overtook him almost, but on the straight line the Audi is super fast, and then he overtook me again. And then I saw on the last lap I saw where is his weak point. So on the exit from the last chicane on the last straight, I was like neck to neck with him, but he was. I knew that I have to go inside to the more drier line. He was on the wet line. We touched a little bit, but I was super careful not to hit him. I don't want to make any troubles again. So it was a super weekend. I from the start I didn't know, so I don't know what I did. I just started to overtake people one by one, and I was suddenly like immediately I was in the 2nd place, and then just in the last lap I did my best. And I want to thank to my Serbia, to my sponsors, to my City Pančevo, and to all TCR people, Europe, and all my sponsors, and the team. Sorry, Team Target and Hyundai. Thank you.
And anybody else who knows me. That was a brave question, Fabio. I wouldn't have asked him that. Dusan Borkovic clearly delighted with his weekend's work. Pole position, winner of both races here in the south of France, which means he'll be heavy with success ballast when we move to Zandvoort. But that's the confirmation of the result from the 2nd race here at Le Castellet. Borkovic beating Venet by a whisker over a second. Danny Nage 2/10 behind Venet. Several non-finishers. Stian Paulsen must be bitterly disappointed not to have finished after all the hard work that goes in from the family team to get Stian onto the grid. Nowhere near the budget of some of these teams. He's a nice man, Dusan Borkovic. So, finally peeled away from all the congratulations. Dusan will head up to the podium. So, before the podium, let's remind ourselves of some of the highlights of race 2.
You know, girl, when I'm with you, I always feel so good. I find a home in you. I find a motor at the beat. Come on. I see my future. I see my past. Present is good and all the rest. Girl, you've got the power. And it's always been inside yourself. Ain't no man can stop you. It's a woman power. You've got the strength that makes the world. Girl, you've got the power. It's always been inside yourself. Ain't no man can stop you. It's a woman's power.
Dusan Borkovic takes his place on the top step of the podium for the second time this weekend. Danny Nage, and I don't want to say which of the Gumara brothers that is, because I'm guaranteed to get it wrong. It's either Andreas or Marcus. So a rather brief snippet of the Serbian national anthem before Minoru Nakayama from Yokohama presenting the trophies here in Paul Ricard. So winning driver, winning team. And then it'll be the trophy to second place driver Jean-Carl Venet. And then the trophy to third place driver Danny Nage. And in case you're wondering why there are 5 people on our podium, also the DSG trophy winner, or the leading, or the most highly placed DSG driver also gets a trophy, despite the fact that there's only one driver here, Giovanni Altoe, in the pit lane Competizione Audi RS3 LMS DSG, gets a trophy for finishing. So everybody together for the photo, and then it'll be everybody who doesn't want to be covered in champagne out of the way sharpish, because you know what happens now. So the 2018 TCR Europe season well and truly underway. So nearly Jean-Carl Venet's day, but Dusan Borkovic picked his moment, just squeezed past. And so 2 wins from 2 races for Dusan Borkovic means he has a huge lead already in the Drivers' Series. So in 2 weeks' time, we move to Zandvoort in the Netherlands. We will see you then, but until then, from Paul Ricard in the south of France, a very goodbye.